We are reading chapter 10 of Mark by PC Cast and Kristen Cast. I keep thinking that Hebe's Herpes is eventually going to bring Aphrodite down. Herpes, Stevie Ray explained having godlike arrogance. I actually know that one, I said, still staring at the Aphrodite in her mouth. We just finished reading Medea in English class. It's what brought Jason down. I love to knock the Herbies right out of her bobblehead, Aronson. I'll hold you, I'll hold her for you, twin, Shannon said. No, y'all know we've talked about this before. The penalty for fighting is bad. Really bad. It's not worth it. I watched Aaron and Sharon pale at the same time and wanted to ask what could be so bad, but Stevie Ray went on talking this time to me. Just be careful, Zoe. The Dark Daughters, and especially Aphrodite, can seem almost okay at times, but that's when they're most dangerous. I shook my head. Oh, nuh-uh. I'm not going to their full moon thing. I think you have to, Damien said softly. Never died Nefret. Okay, Stevie Ray said as Ernest Sharon nodded. An agreement that means she'll expect you to go. You can't tell your mentor no, especially when your mentor is Nefret, High Priestess of Nyx. Damien said. Can't I just say that I'm not ready for whatever it is they want me to do and act Nefret if I can be? I don't demo. What will you call it? An excuse from their full moon thingy this time? Well, you could, but then Nefert will tell the Dark Daughters and they think you're scared of them. I thought about the major crap that had already passed between Aphrodite and me in such a short time. Stevie Ray, I might already be scared of them. Don't ever let them know. Stevie Ray looked down at her plate, trying to hide her embarrassment. That's worse than standing up to them. Honey, Damien said, Stevie Ray singing. Stop beating yourself up for that. Stevie Ray gave Damien a sweet thank you smile. Then she just said to me, just go. Be strong and go. They won't do anything too awful at the ritual. It's here on campus. They wouldn't dare. Yeah, they'll do all the bad bullshit away from here, where it's harder for the vampires to catch them. Shay said, around here they pretend to be all sickly sweet, so no one knows what they're really like. No one except us, Ernan said, sweeping out her hand so that she included not just our little group, but everyone else in the room too. I don't know, y'all. Maybe Zoe will actually get along with some of them, okay? Stevie Ray said without any touch of sarcasm or jealousy. I shook my head. Nope, I won't get along with them. I don't like their kind. The kind of people who try to control others and make them look bad just to feel better about themselves. And I don't want to go to that full moon ritual, I said firmly, thinking about my stepfather and his buddies, and how ironic it was that they seemed to have so much in common with the group of teenagers who call themselves the daughters of a goddess. I'll go with you if I could. Any of us would. But unless you're one of the Dark Daughters, you can only get in if you're invited, Stevie Ray said. That's okay. I'll just deal with it. Suddenly I wasn't hungry anymore. I was just very, very tired and I really wanted to change the subject. So, explain to me about the different symbols you wear here. You told me about ours. Nick's spiral. Damien has a spiral too. So that means he's a... Pause to remember what Stevie Ray called a freshman a third former, but Ernie and Sharon have wings and Aphrodite had something else. You mean besides that cop stuck up her skinny anus? Aaron muttered. She means the three fates. Damien interjected, being Sharon to whatever she was going at. The three fates are children of Nyx. The six formers all wear the emblem of the fates, with Asher holding scissors to symbolize the end of school. And for some of us, the end of life, Aaron said gloomily. That shut everyone up. When I couldn't stand the uncommon silence anymore, I cleared my throat and said, so what about Aaron and Sharon's wings? The rings of arrows. Who is it? The child of Nixie, the love god, said Shari said, adding a steel granite for him. Damien frowned at her and kept talking. The golden rings of arrows are the fourth former symbol. Because we're the love class, Erin sang, raising her arms over her head and shimmering her hips. Actually, it's because we're supposed to be reminded of Nick's capability to love, and the way we summarize our continuous movement forward. What's the symbol for fifth formers? I asked. Nick's golden chariot pulling a trail of stars, Damien said. I think it's the prettiest of all of the four symbols, Stevie Ray said. Those stars sparkle like crazy. The chariot shows that we continue on Nexus journey. The stars represent the magic of the 2 years that we have already passed. Damien, you're a good little student, Ernie said. I told you we should have gotten him up to help us study for the human mythology test, Shannon said. I thought I told you we needed his help anyway. Damien shouted over their bickering. That's about all there is to the four symbols of the classes. Easy peasy, really. He looked pointing at the now silent twins. That is, if you pay attention in class instead of writing notes and staring at guys you think are cute. You're really pudgy, Damien, Shawnee said. Especially for a gay boy, Ernie said. Ernie, your hair is looking kind of frizzy today. Not to be mean or anything, but maybe you should think about switching product. You can't be too careful about those kind of things. The next thing you know, you'll be getting split ends. Erin's blue eyes got huge and her hand went automatically to her hair. Oh, no, I do not believe you just said that, Damien. You know how crazy she is about her hair, Shannon started to puff up like a mocha colored blowfish. Damien, meanwhile, just smiled and returned to his spaghetti, the perfect picture of innocence. Y'all, Stevie Ray said quickly, standing up and pulling me with her by the elbow. Zoe looked beat. Y'all remember what it was like when you first got here. We're going to go back to our room. I have to study for that vamp scientology test, so I probably won't see you until tomorrow. Okay, see you, Damien said. Zoe, it was really nice to meet you. Yeah, welcome to Hell High. Erin and Shannon said together. Before Stevie Ray pulled me out of the room, thanks, I'm tired, I told Stevie Ray as we backtracked through the hall that I was happy to recognize as the one that would lead to the main entrance to the central school building. We paused with a sleek, silver-gray cat chase a smaller, harassed-looking tabby across the hall in front of him. The Alzabub, leave Cammy alone. Damien's going to rip your fur out. Stevie Ray made a grab for the gray cat and missed, but he did stop chasing the tabby instead and snuck straight back down the hall the way he just came. Stevie Ray was frowning at him. Sharon and Erin need to teach that cat some of their manners. He's always up to something. She glanced at me as we left the building and walked into the soft pre-dawn darkness. That cute little Karen is Damien's cat, but Azabub belongs to Erin and Shireen. He chose both of them together. Yep, it's as strange as it sounds, but after a little while you'll like the rest of us and start thinking that they must really be twins. They seem nice though. Oh, they're great. They bicker a lot, but they're totally loyal and will never let anyone talk about you, she grinned. Okay, they might talk about you, but that's different. It won't be behind your back. And I really like Damien. Damien's sweet and really smart. I just feel bad for him sometimes, though. How come? He had a roommate when he first got here about 6 months ago. But as soon as the guy found out Damien was gay, hello, it's not like the boy tries to hide it. He complained to Nefra and said he wasn't going to room with a fag. I grinned. I can't stand homophobes. And Nefra actually put up with that attitude? No, she made it clear that the kid, he changed his name to Thor after he got here. She shook her head and rolled her eyes. Doesn't that just figure? Anyway, and for Natty, let it be known that the door was way out of line and she gave Damien the option of moving into another room by himself or staying with Dora. Damien chose to move. I mean, wouldn't you? I nodded. Yeah, no way would I room with Dora, the homophobe. That's what we all think too. So Damien has been in a room by himself since then. Aren't there any other gay kids here? Stevie Ray shrugged. There are a few girls who are lesbians and totally out, but even though a couple of them are cool and hang with the rest of us, they mostly stick together. Their way into the religious aspect of goddess worship and spend most of their time in Nexus Temple. And of course, there are the monarch part of girls who think it's cool to make out with each other, but usually only if some cute guys are watching. I shook my head. You know, I never understood why girls think about making out with each other is the way to catch a boyfriend. You think it would be counterproductive? Like, I want a boyfriend who really thinks I'm hot when I'm kissing some girl bleak. What about gay guys? Stevie sighed. There are a few besides Damien, but they are mostly too weird and girly for him. I feel bad for him. I think he gets pretty lonely. His parents don't write or anything. The whole vampire thing freaked them out. No, they didn't really care about that. Actually, don't say anything to Damien because it hurt his feelings. But I think they were relieved when he was marked. They didn't know what to do with a son who is gay. Why did they do have to do anything? He's still their son. He just like guys. Well, they live in Dallas, and his dad is big into the people of faith. I think he's some kind of minister or something. I held my hand up. Stop. You don't have to say another word. I totally get it, and I did. I was too irritated with the narrow-minded. Our way is the only right way. Idea of the people of faith. Even thinking about it made me exhausted and depressed. Stevie Ray opened the door to the dorm. The living room area was empty except for a few girls who were watching that '70s show rerun. Stevie Ray waved absently at them. Hey, do you want a pop or something to take upstairs with us? I nodded and followed her through the living room into a smaller room off the side that had 4 refrigerators, a big sink, 2 microwaves, lots of cabinets, and a pretty white wooden table that sat in the middle of it. Just like any regular kitchen, only this one was really refrigerator friendly. Everything was neat and clean. Stevie Ray opened one of the fridges. I peeked over her shoulder to see that it was filled with all kinds of drinks. Everything from pop to lots of juices, that fizzy water that tastes nice. What do you want? Any brown pop is fine, I said. The stuff is all for us, she said, as she handed me 2 Diet Cokes and grabbed 2 Frescos for herself. There's fruit and veggies and stuff like that in those 2 fridges, and lean meat for sandwiches in the other. They kept full at all times, but the vamps are pretty obsessed with us eating healthy, so you won't find bag of chips or Twinkies or stuff like that. No chocolate? Yeah. There's some really expensive chocolate in the cabinets. The vamps say chocolate is moderation is good, and moderation is good for us. Okay, so who the hell wants to eat chocolate in moderation? I kept the thought to myself as we walked back through the living room and headed upstairs to our room. So the vamps, I kind of stumbled over the words, are big on healthy eating. Well, yeah, but I think basically just feeding and eating healthy. I mean, you don't see fat vamps, but you also don't see them chewing on celery and carrot and picking at salads. Mostly they eat together in their own dining room, and rumor has it that they eat well. She glanced over at me, lowering her voice. I heard that they eat a lot of red meat, a lot of rare red meat. Eesh, I said, not looking like the bizarre visual image I suddenly got of never gnawing on a bloody steak. Stevie Ray shivered and went on. someone's mentor will say what a fleeting at dinner, but they usually just have a glass or two of wine and don't eat with us. Stevie Ray opened the door and with a sigh sat on my bed and pulled off my shoes. God, I was tired. Rubbing my feet, I wonder about why the adult vamps don't eat with us, and then I decided I didn't really want to think about that long. I mean, it brought to mind too many questions like what are they eating, and what will I have to eat when if I become an adult vamp? Ugh. And part of my brain whispered that it also made me remember my reaction to Hal's blood yesterday. Had that been only yesterday and or some more recent response to the blood of that guy in the hall. No, I definitely didn't want to think about that either of them at all. So I quickly refocused on the health diet issue. Okay, they don't particularly care about eating healthy, so what's the big obsession with us eating healthy? I asked Stevie Ray. She met my eyes, looking forward and more than a little scared. They want us to eat healthy for the same reason they make us exercise every day, so that our bodies are strong as possible. Because if you start getting weak or fat or sick, that's the first sign that your body is rejecting the change. And then you die, I said quietly, and then you die, she agreed. Chapter 11. I didn't think I'd sleep. I figured I'd lay there and miss home and think about the bizarre twist my life had taken. The stormy flashes of the guy in the hall's eyes drifted through my mind, but I was so tired I couldn't focus. Even Aphrodite's psycho-hatefulness was something else that seemed sleepily far away. Actually, my last words, before I could remember nothing else, were about my forehead. Was it feeling sore again because of the mark and the cut over my temple? Or was it because I was getting a ginormous zit and would wear my head over my face for the first day of vamp school tomorrow? But as I curled up with my comforter and hear the familiar scent of down feathers and home, I felt unexpectedly safe and warm and was totally out. I didn't have a nightmare either. Instead, I dreamed about cats. Go figure. Hot boys? No. Kunu vampires? Of course not. Just cats. There was one in particular, a small orange tabby who had little tiny paws and a pot belly with a pouch that looked kind of menstrual. More spurial. She kept yelling at me in an old woman's voice and asking what had taken me so long to get here. Then her cat voice changed to an annoying buzzing sound, and Zoe, come on, turn that stupid alarm clock off. What? Huh? Oh hell, I hate mornings. My hand flared about taking to find the switch off my annoying alarm clock. Have I mentioned that I totally completely blind without mind contacts?
If you want to wear this, it'd be real sexy if you wore this tonight.
I grabbed my nerdy glasses and peeked at the time, 6:30 p.m. And I was just waking up. Talk about bizarre. Do you want to take a shower first, or do you want me to toast? Ray. Actually, I will if you don't care. I don't. She on. Okay. We should hurry though, cause I don't know about you, but I have to eat breakfast, or I feel like I'm going to starve to death before lunch. Cereal. I suddenly perked up. Surely adore cereal, and I have an I love cereal shirt somewhere to prove it. I especially love Count Chocula. Yet another vampire irony. Yeah, there's always lots of those box of cereals and bagels and fruits and hard-boiled eggs and stuff. I'll hurry. Suddenly I was starving. Hey, Steve Harry, does it matter what I wear? Nope. She yawned again. Just pick one of the sweaters or jackets that show a thorough farmer symbol and you'll be fine. I did and hurry, even though I was really nervous about not looking right. I wish that I could take hours doing and redoing my hair and makeup. I used to erase makeup mirror while she was in the shower, and I decided that doing that underdoing was probably a better choice than overdoing. It was weird how my marks seemed to change the whole focus of my face. I have nice, I had nice eyes, big, round, and dark, with lots of lashes, so much that Kayla used to whine about how unfair it was that I had enough lashes for three girls and she only had short blonde ones. Speaking of, I did miss Kayla, especially this morning as I was getting ready to go to a new school without her. Maybe I'll call her later or email her. Or I remember the comment Heath made about the party and decided maybe not. Anyway, the mark somehow made my eyes look even bigger and darker. I lined them with a smoky black shadow that had little sparkly flecks of silver in it. Not heavily like those loser girls who think that plastering on black eyeliner makes them look cool. Yeah, right. They look like scary raccoons. As much the liner, add mascara, brush some bronzing powder over my face, and put on lip gloss too to hide the fact that I've been nervously picking at my lips. Then I stared at myself. Thankfully, my hair was acting right. Even my weird widow's peak wasn't sticking all up crazily like did sometimes. I still looked different, but the same. The effects my mark had on my face hadn't faded. It made everything that was ethnic, ethnic about my features stand out. The darkness of my eyes, my high cherry cheekbones, my proud straight nose, and even the olive color of my skin that was like my grandma's. The sapphire mark of the goddess seemed to have flipped the switch and spotlight those features. It had freed the Cherokee girl within me and allowed her to shine. Your hair looks great, Stevie Ray said as she came into the room, toweling dry her short hair. I wish mine would act right when it's long. It doesn't. It just frizzes out and looks like a horse's tail. I like your short hair, I said, moving out of her way and grabbing my cute, sparkly black ballet flats. Yeah, well, it makes me a freak here. Everyone has long hair. I noticed, but I don't really get it. It's one of the things that happens while we're going through the change. Vamp's hair grows automatically fast, just like our fingernails. I try not to shudder as I remember Aphrodite's fingernails slashing through the jeans and skin. Thankfully, Stevie Ray was oblivious to my thoughts and kept on talking. You'll see. After a while, you won't have to look at their symbols to know what year they are. Anyway, you'll learn about that kind of stuff in Psychology class. Oh, that reminds me. She rubbed through some papers on her desk until she found what she was looking for and handed it to me. Here's your schedule. We have third and fourth hour together, and check out the list of electives you have for second hour. You can choose from any of them. My name was at the top of the schedule, printed in bold and Zoe Rayburn, entering 30 form as well as the date, which was 5 days before the tracker had marked me. First hour, Vampire Psychology 101, room 215, Professor Neffert. Second hour, Drama 101, Performing Arts Center, Professor Nolan, or Sketching 101, room 312, Professor Dummer, or Intro to Music, room 314, Professor Vinto. Third hour, Literature 101, room 214, Professor Penrose. Fourth hour, Fencing Gymnasium, Professor D. Professor D. Langford. Lunch break. Fifth hour, Spanish 101, room 216, Professor Graham. Sixth hour, Intro to Australian Studies, Fieldhouse, Professor Luke. No geometry, I blurred out, totally overrun by the schedule, but trying to keep the positive attitude. No, thankfully, next year we'll have to take economics though, but that's couldn't be as bad. Fencing in intro to John equestrian studies. I told you they would like to keep us in shape. Fencing, okay, even though it's hard. I'm not very good at it, but you do get paired with upperclassmen a lot. Kind of like peer instructors, and I'm just saying some of those boys are just plain hot. I'm talking, not talking the horse class this, not taking the horse class this semester. They put me in Taekwondo, and I have to tell you, I love you. I love it. Really, I said doubtfully, wonder what the horse would class would be like. Yep. Which elective are you going to pick? I glanced down the list. Which one are you taking? Intro into music, Professor Vinto is school, and Stevie Ray, Grandma, and Blush. I want to be a country music star. I mean, Kenny Chesney, Faith Hill, Shania Twain are all vampires. And that's just three of them. Heck, Garth Brooks grew up right here in Oklahoma, and you know he's the biggest vamp of them all. So I don't see why you can't be one too. Makes perfect sense to me. I said, why not? You want to take music with me? That'd be fun if I could sing or play anything resembling an instrument. I can't. Oh, well, maybe not then. Actually, I was thinking about taking the drama class. I was in drama at SIHS, and I liked it, okay. Do you know anything about Professor Nolan? Yeah, she's from Texas, and has a major accent, and studied drama in New York City, and everyone likes her. I almost laughed out loud when Stevie Ray mentioned Professor Nolan's accent. The girl twanged so bad she sounded like an ad for a trailer park, but no way was I going to hurt her feelings by mentioning it. Well, then drama it is. Okay, grab your schedule and let's go. Hey, she said as she hurried out of the room and skipped down the stairs. Maybe you'll be the next Nicole Kidman. Well, I guess being the next Nicole Kidman wouldn't be so bad. Now I plan on marrying and then divorcing a manic short guy. Now Stevie Ray mentioned it. I hadn't really thought about my future career since the tracker had thrown my life into a complete chaos. But now I was actually thinking about it. I still really wanted to be a veterinarian. In Upsala's long hair, black and white cat sprinted down the steps in front of us, chasing a cat that looked like its clone. With all the cats, you'd think that there would definitely be a need for vamp vets. Vamp vets. I would actually come on clinic vamp vets, and the ads would read, "We'll take your blood for free." The kitchen and living area crowded with girls eating and talking and hurrying around. I tried to return some of the hellos I was getting as Stevie Ray introduced me to what seemed like an impossibly confusing stream of girls and keep my conversation on finding a box of Count Chocolo. Just when I was starting to worry, I found it hidden behind several massive boxes of frosted flakes. Not a second bad choice, but well, they're not chocolate and they don't have any yummy little marshmallows. Stevie Ray poured a quick bowl of Lucky Charms and we perched at the kitchen table eating fast. Hey Zoe, that voice. I knew who it was before I saw Stevie Ray duck her head and stare into her cereal. Hi Aphrodite, I said, trying to sound natural. In case I don't see you later, I want to make sure you know where to go tonight. The daughter's full moon ritual will start at 4 a.m. Right after the school ritual. You'll miss dinner, but don't worry about that. We'll feed you. Oh, it's in the rec hall over by the East Hall. I'll meet you in front of Nexus Temple before the school ritual so we can go in together. And then I can show you the way to the hall afterwards. Actually, I already promised Stevie Ray that I'll meet her and we'll go to the school ritual thing together. I really hate pushing people. Yeah, sorry about that. I was pleased to hear Stevie Ray lift her head and say, "Hey, you know where the rec hall is, don't you?" I asked Stevie Ray in my most reluctant, clueless voice. Yeah, I do. Then you can show me how to get there, and that means Aphrodite doesn't have to worry about me getting lost. Anything I can do to help. Stevie Ray. chirp sounding like her old self. Problem solved, I said with a big smile at Aphrodite. Okay, fine. I'll see you at 4 a.m. Don't be late. She's twitched off. If she shakes her butt anymore when she walks, she's gonna break something, I said. Stevie Ray snorted and almost spewed milk from her nose, coughing. She said, don't do that while I'm eating. Then she swallowed and smiled at me. You didn't let her boss you around, neither did you. I slurped my last spoonful of cereal. Ready? Ready, okay. This will be easy. Your first hour is right next to my first hour. And all of the third former core classes in the same hall. Come on. I point you in the right direction and you'll be set. We rinsed our dishes and stuffed them in one of the 5 dishwashers and hurried outside into the darkness of a beautiful fall evening. Geez, it was weird going to school at night, even if my body was telling me that everything was normal. We followed the flow of students through one of the thick wooden doors. Third Infirmary Hall is just over here, Stevie Ray said, guiding me around the corner up a short flight of stairs. Is that a bathroom? I asked as we hurried past the water fountain drained between 2 doors. Yep. She said, here's my class and there's yours right next door. See you after class. Okay, thanks, I called. At least the bathroom was closed. If I had the case of a raging nervous stomach diarrhea, I wouldn't have one. Go, Zoe, over here, chapter 12. Zoe, over here. I almost cried in relief when I heard Damien's voice and saw his hand waving at an empty desk next to him. Hi, I sat down and smiled at him. Are you ready for your first day? Nope. I nodded. Yeah. I wanted to say more, but just then a bell gave 5 quick wings as the echo of it died. Never swept into the room. She was wearing long black skirts, slit up the side to show great stiletto boots, and a deep purple silk sweater. Over her left breast, emerald and silver, was the image of a goddess with her arms upright, hands covering a crescent moon. Her auburn hair was pulled back in a thick braid. The series of delicate wave-like tattoos that framed her face marked her like an ancient warrior priestess. She smiled at us, and I could see that the entire class was caught as I was by her powerful presence. Good evening. I've been looking forward to beginning this unit. Developing into the rich psychology of the Amazon is one of my favorites, and she suggested to me. It is excellent timing that Zoe Riverd has joined us today. I am Zoe's mentor, so I'll expect my students to welcome her. Damien, would you please get Zoe a textbook? Her cabinet is next to yours. While you explain our locker system to her, I want the rest of you to journal about what preconceived impressions you have of the ancient vampire warriors who are known as the Amazons. The typical paper rustle and students whispering concerned about Damon leaning to the back of the class where there was a wall of cabinets. He opened one that had the number 12 and silver on it. The cabinet contained neat, wide shelves filled with textbooks and supplies. At the house of nice there aren't lockers like a regular school. Like regular schools. Here, first hour is our homeroom, and we each have a cabinet of our own. The room will always be open so you could come back to get your books and whatever, just like you would go to a locker in the hall. Here's the silent geology book. He handed me a thick lettered book with the stiletto of a goddess stamped on the front of it with the title Vampire Zoology 101. I grabbed the notebook and a couple of pens. When I shut the cabinet door, I had isn't there a lock or something? No. No, they don't need locks here. If someone steals something, the vamps know it. I don't even want to think about what would happen to someone stupid enough to do that. We sat back down, and I started to write about the only thing I knew about the Amazons, that they were warrior women who didn't have much use for men. But my mind wasn't on my work. Instead, I was wondering why Stevie Ray, and even Ernie and Shani are freaked about getting in trouble. I mean, I'm a good kid. Okay, not perfect, but still. I only had detention once so far, and that wasn't my fault, really. Some turd boy told me to suck his cock What was I supposed to do? Cry, giggle, pout? No. So instead, I bitch slapped him, although I prefer using the word smad, and I got detention for it. Anyway, detention wasn't actually that bad. I got all my homework done and started the new Gossip Girl book. Clearly, detention in the House of Night entail more than just going to a teacher's classroom for 45 minutes of quiet time after school. I have to remember to ask Steve Ray first, what pieces of the Amazon tradition do we still practice at the House of Night? And after that, ask, draw my attention back to the class. Damien raised his hand. The bow of respect with our fist over our heart comes from the Amazon, so does the way we shake our hands by gripping forearm. Correct, Damien, huh? That explained the funny handshake. So, what pre-convention motions do we have for the Amazon warriors? A blonde who sat on the other side of the room said, the Amazons were heavily material as all vampire society. Gee, she sounded smart. That's true, Elizabeth. But when people discover the Amazons, legend tends to add additional layer to the history. What do I mean by it? Well, people, especially humans, think the Amazons were man haters, said Damien. Exactly. What we know is that just because a society is monarchical as ours is, it does not automatically mean that it is an anti-male. Even Nick said a concert, the god of Erebus, to whom she is devoted. The Amazons were quite unique, though, in that way, were a society of vampire women who choose to be their own warriors and protectors. As most of you already know, our society today is still matriarchal, but we respect and appreciate the sons of night and consider them our protectors and consorts. Now open your textbook to chapter 3. And let's look at the greatest of the Amazonian warriors, Pentheus. But be careful to keep legend and history separated in mind. And from there, Nephrite launched into one of the coolest lectures I ever heard. I had no idea an hour had passed. That ringing bell was a total surprise. I just shoved my psychology book back into my cubby. Okay, I know that Damien never called them cabinets, but come on. They totally remind me of the cubbies we used to have in kindergarten when Nefertiti called my name. I grabbed the notebook and pen and hurried over to her desk. How are you? She asked, smiling warmly. I'm okay, I'm good, I said quickly. She lifted an eyebrow at me. Well, I suppose I'm nervous and confused. Of course you are. It's a lot to take in, and changing schools is always difficult, let alone changing schools and lives. She glanced over my shoulder. Damien, would you walk Zoe to drama class? Sure. Zoe, I'll see you tonight at Ritual. Oh, and has Aphrodite issued a formal invitation for you to join the Dark Daughters in their private ceremony afterward? Yes. I want to double check with you and make sure that you feel fine about attending. I would, of course, understand your resistance, but I encourage you to go. I want you to take advantage of every opportunity here in the Dark Daughters in an exclusive organization. It is compliant that they already seem interested in you as a possible pledge. I'm fine with going. I forced my voice and my smile to be non-lactic. Obviously, she expected me to go, and the last thing I wanted was for Nefertiti to be disappointed in me. Plus, no way in hell was I going to do anything that might make Aphrodite think I was scared of her. Well done, Nefertiti said with enthusiasm. She squeezed my arms. I automatically smiled at her. If you need me, my office is in the same wing as the infirmary. She glanced at my forehead. I see the stitches have almost completely dissolved. That's excellent. Does your head still hurt? My head automatically found its way to my hand. I could only feel the prickle of a stitch or two today, when there had been at least 10 yesterday. Very, very weird. And even weirder, I hadn't thought about the cut once this morning. I also realized I had thought about my mom or Heath or even Grandma River. No, I said, suddenly realized never. Daddy Nephrite and Damien were waiting for me to answer. No, my head doesn't hurt at all. Good. Well, you two better go before you're late. I know you'll love drama. I think Professor Nolan has just began working on monologues. I was halfway down the hall trying to keep up with Damien when it hit me. How did she know I was going to take drama? I just decided this morning. Adult vamps know way too much sometimes. Damien whispered. Scratch that. Adult vamps know way too much all the time, especially when the vamp is a high priestess. In light of what I had been telling her, I didn't want to think about that too long. Hey y'all, Stevie rushed up. How was Vamp son? Did y'all start the Amazon? It was cool. I was glad to change the subject that from the two mysterious vampires. I had no idea they really cut off their right breast to keep them out of the way. They would have had to if they been flat as me, said they wouldn't have to if they had been flat like me, said Stevie Ray, looking down at her own chest. Or me, said Damon dramatically. I was still giggling when they pointed me to the drama room. But Professor Nolan didn't ooze power like Nefertiti. She oozed energy. She had an athletic but somehow pear-shaped body. Her brunette hair was long and straight, and Stevie Ray had been right. She had a strong Texas twang. Zoe, welcome. Have a seat anywhere. I said hi and sat beside Elizabeth, the Elizabeth girl I recognized from Vamp. So she looked friendly enough. I already knew she was smart. It never hurts to sit next to a smart kid. We're just about to begin choosing the monologues that each of you will present to the class sometime next week. But first, I thought you'd like to have a demonstration of how a monologue should be performed. So I asked one of our talented upperclassmen to stop by and recite the famous monologue from Othello, written by the ancient vampire playwright Shakespeare. Professor Nolan paused and glanced out of the window in the door. Here he is now. The door opened, and oh my God, dear sweet Lord, I believe my heart totally stopped beating. I'm positive my mouth flopped open like a moron. He was the most gorgeous young lad I had ever seen. He was tall and had dark hair that had a burningly perfect Superman curl thing. His eyes were amazingly sapphire, and oh hell, it was the guy from the hall. Come on in, Eric. As usual, your entrance is perfect. We are ready for your monologue. She turned back to the class. Most of you already know our fifth former Eric Knight and are aware that he has won last year's Worldwide House of Night monologue competition, the finals of which are being held in London. He is also already creating a buzz in Hollywood as well as a Broadway for his performance last semester in Troy in our production of West Side Story. Tony, in our production of West Side. The class is all yours, Eric, Professor Nolan beamed. As if my body suddenly on automatic, I clapped with the rest of the class, smiling in confidence every step on the little stage that was studied front and center in the large area classroom. Hi, how are you doing? He spoke directly to me. I could feel my heart. Monologue seemed imitating, but the key is to get your lines down and to imagine that you're actually acting with a full cast of actors. Trick yourself into thinking you're not up here all alone like this. And he began the monologue from Othello. I don't know much about the play except that it was one of Shakespeare's tragedies, but Eric's performance was amazing. He was a tall guy, probably at least 6 feet, but as he began to speak, he seemed to get bigger and older and more powerful. His voice deepened and he took on an accent I couldn't place. His incredible eyes darkened and narrowed into slits. And when he said Desmond's name, it was like he was praying. It was obvious he loved her even before he spoke the concluding lines. She loved me for the dangers I had passed, and I loved her that she did pity them. As he spoke the last two lines, his eyes locked with mine, and just as like in the hall the day before, it seemed as if there was no one else in the room, no one else in the world. I felt a shiver deep inside of something very much like what I felt the two times I smelt blood since I've been marked. Only no blood had been spilled in the room. There was only Eric. And then he smiled, touching his lips to his fingers as though he was sending me a kiss and bowed. The whole class clapped like crazy, including me. Really, I couldn't help it. Now that's how it's done, Professor Nolan said. So there are a copy of monologues in the red bookshelves that at the rear of the class. Each of you take several books and begin looking through them. What you're trying to find is the scene that may mean something to you, that touches some part of your soul. I'll be circling and can answer any question you have about individual monologues. Once you've chosen your piece, I'll go through the steps you need to take as you prepare your own presentation. With an enlightened smile and nod, she motioned for us to start looking through the zillions of monologue books. I still felt flushed and short of breath, but I got up with the rest of the class, even though I couldn't help peeking at Eric over my shoulder. He was unfortunately leaving the room, but not before he turned and caught me gawking at him. I blushed again. He met my eyes and smiled directly at me again, and then he was gone. He's so effing hot, someone whispered in my ear. I turned, and shockingly, Miss Perfect Student Elizabeth was staring after Eric and fanning him herself. Doesn't he have a girlfriend? I blurted out like an idiot. Only in my dreams, Elizabeth said. Actually, word has it that he and Aphrodite used to be hooked up, but I've been here for a few months, and it's been over between them at least that long. Here you go. Crossed a couple of monologue books at me. I'm Elizabeth. No last name. My smile, my face was a question mark. She saw my last name was Titsworth. Can you imagine when I got here a few weeks ago, my mentor explained that I could change my name to whatever I wanted it to be. I knew I was going to get rid of the Titsworth part, but then the whole issue of picking a new last name just stressed me so much, so I decided I'd keep my first name and not hassle with a last name. Elizabeth had no last name shrug. Well, hi, I said, and there was really some odd kids here. Hey, she said as we went back to our house. Eric was looking at you. He was looking at everyone, I said, even though I could feel my face getting all hot and red again. Yeah, but he was really looking at you. She grinned and added, oh, I think your color and mark is cool. Thanks. It's probably looked weird on a sour on my beet red face. Any question about choosing a monologue? Zoe, Professor Nolan asked, making me jump. No, Professor Nolan. I've done them before in drama at SIHS. Very good. Let me know if I can clarify setting or character for you. She patted me on the arm and kept moving around the room. I opened the first book and started to flip through the pages, trying unsuccessfully to forget about Eric and concentrate on monologue. He had been looking at me all right, but why? He must have known that it had been me in the hall. So, what kind of interest in me was he showing? And did I really want a guy to like me who had been getting a blowjob from a hateful Aphrodite? I probably shouldn't. I mean, definitely wasn't going to take up where she left off, or maybe he was just curious about my freakishly colored and marked, like particularly everyone else. But it hadn't seemed like it. But it seemed like he'd been looking at me, and I liked it. I glanced down at the book I'd been ignoring. The page was open to the subchapter, Dramatic Monologue for Women. The first monologue on the page was from Always Ridiculous by Jose Incella. Well, hell, it was probably a sign. Chapter 13. I actually found my way to lit class by myself. Okay, so it was just on the other side of Nefertiti's room, but still, I felt a little more confidence when I didn't have to ask to be led around like the helpless new kid Zoe. "We have a desk for you," Stevie Ray yelled the instant I got to class. She was sitting beside Damien and practically hopping up and down with excitement. She looked like a happy puppy again, which made me smile. I was really glad to see her. So, tell me everything. How was drama? Did you like it? Do you like Professor Nolan? Isn't her tattoos cool? It reminds me of a mask kind of. Damien grabbed Stevie Ray's arm, breathed, and let the girl answer. "Sorry," she said sheepishly. "I guess Nolan's tattoos are cool." I said, "You guess." Well, I was distracted. "What?" she said, then her eyes narrowed. "Did someone embarrass you about your mark? I swear people are just plain rude." "Well, that wasn't it. Actually, that Elizabeth, no last name girl said she thought it was cool. I was just distracted because, well, I was feeling my face get hot again. I decided that I was going to ask them about Eric, about how he started talking, wondering whether I should say anything. Should I tell him about the hall?" Damien pricked up. I felt juicy tad bit coming on. "Come on, Zoe. You were distracted because he drew the word out into a question." Okay. I can sum it up with 2 words. Eric Knight. Stevie Ray's mouth dropped open and Damien did a little pretend swoon, which he had to strain up from right away because the moment the bell rang, Professor Potassium swept into the room. Later, Stevie Ray and whispered, "Absolutely." Damien nodded. I smiled innocently. If nothing else, I was sure that I would love the fact that mentioning Eric would drive them crazy all hour. Lit class was an experience. First of all, the classroom itself was totally different than I ever seen. There were absorbed in interesting posters and paintings and what looked like an original artwork filling every inch of the wall space, and hanging from the ceiling were wind chimes and crystals, lots of them. Professor Pintons, whose name I now recognize from social class as belonging to the most revealed of all the Amazon, and who everyone called Professor P, was like something out of the movies. Well, the ones on the Sci-Fi Channel. She had serious, long reddish blonde hair, big hazel eyes, and a natural curvy body that probably made all the guys drool. Not that it had very hard to make teenage boys drool. Her tattoos were thin, pretty Celtic knots that traced their way down her face and around her cheekbones, making them look high and dramatic. She was wearing expensive-looking black shades and a moss-looking silk cardigan sweater set that had the same goddess-figured emerald over the breast as her breast, and Nefertiti had been wearing. And now that I thought about it, not Eric, I realized Professor Nolan's blouse had the same goddess emerald on the breast pocket of her blouse too. I was born in April year of 1902, Professor P said, instantly grabbing our attention. I mean, please. She barely looked 30, so I was 10 years old in April of 1912. And I remember the tragedy very well. What am I talking about? Do any of you have any idea? Okay, I knew exactly what she was talking about, but it wasn't because I was a hopeless history nerd. It was because I was younger. I thought I was in love with Leonardo DiCaprio, and my mom got me that entire DVD collection of his movies for my 12th birthday. This particular movie I watched had so many times I still have the most memorized, and I cannot tell you how many times I snot cried when he slipped off that board and floated away like an adorable popsicle. I looked around. No one else seemed to have a clue, so I sighed and raised my hand. Professor P smiled and called me. "Yes, Miss Redbird." The Titanic sank in April of 1912. It was struck by the iceberg late on Sunday night, the 14th, and sank just a few hours later on the 15th. I heard Damien suck air beside me as Steve raised little, huh? Jeez. And had I really been acting so stupid that they were shocked to hear me answer that question correctly? I do love it when a new feeling knows something, Professor Pennington says. Absolutely correct, Miss Redbird. I was living in Chicago at the time of the tragedy. I will never forget the newsies shouting that the tragic howling from the streetcars. It was a horror event, especially because the loss of lives was so preventable. It also signaled the end of one age and beginning of another, as well as bringing about many much needed changes in shipping laws. We are going to study all this, plus the balancing events of the night in our next piece of literature. Walter Lord's mysterious research book, A Night to Remember. Although Lord was not a vampire, and it's really a shame he wasn't, she added under her breath. I still find his take on the night compelling, and his writing style and tone very readable. Okay, let's get started. The last person in each row get books for the people in your row from the long cabinet in the back of the room. Well, cool. This was definitely more interesting reading. Great expectation. Pep, Estelle, who cares? I settled in with A Night to Remember and my notebook open to take note. Professor P started to read chapter 1 aloud to us, and she was actually a good reader. 3 class hours almost over, and I liked all of them. Was it possible that this man school would actually be more than a boring place? I went to every day because I had to, and besides that, my friends were there. Not all of the classes at SIHS had been boring, but we didn't get to study the Amazons and the Titanic from a teacher who hadn't been alive when it sank. I glanced around at the other kids while Professor P read. There were about 15 of us, which seemed about the average in my other classes too. All of them had their books open and were paying attention. Then my eyes were caught by something red and bushy on the other side of the room near the rear of the class. I had spoken too soon. Not all kids were paying attention. This one had his head down on his arms and he was sound asleep, which I knew because his chubby, way too white and freckled face was turned in my direction. His mouth was open. I think he might have been drooling a little. I wondered what Professor P would do to that kid. She didn't seem like that kind of teacher who would be cool with some slug sleeping in the back of the room, but she just kept on with her reading, interspersed with interesting first-hand facts about the early 20th century, which I really liked. I love hearing about the flappers. I would definitely have been a flapper if I lived in the 1920s. It wasn't until the bell was about to ring and Professor P had assigned the next chapter as homework and then told us we could talk quietly amongst ourselves as she acted as if she noticed the sleeping kid at all. He started to stir, finally lifting up his head to display the bright red sleeping circles that was on the back side of his forehead and was bizarrely out of place because of his mark. Elliot, I need to see you, Professor P said behind her kid. The kid took his time getting up and dragged his feet, scuffing his untied shoes over to her desk. Yeah? Elliot, you are, of course, failing lit. But what's more important, you're failing life. Vampire males are strong, honorable, and unique. They have been our warriors and protectors for countless generations. How do you expect to make the change into a being who is more warrior than a man if you do not practice the discipline it takes even to stay awake in class? He shrugged his soft-looking shoulders. Her expression hardened. I shall give you one more opportunity to make up the 0 for class participation you received today by writing a short paper on any issue that was important in America in the 20th century. The paper is due tomorrow. Without saying another word, he started to turn away. Elliot, Professor P had dropped, voice had dropped in thick with irritation. It made her sound way scarier than she seemed while she had been reading and lecturing. I could feel the power radiating from her, and it made me wonder why she ever need a male anything to protect her. The kid stopped and turned back to face her. I did not excuse you. What is your decision about doing the work to make up today's zero? The kid just stood there without saying. That question calls for an answer, Elliot. Now. The round hair crackled with a command, making the skin of my arms tingle. Seeming unaffected, he shrugged again. I probably won't do it. That says something about your character, Elliot, and it's not something good. You're not letting yourself down, but you're letting your mentor too. He shrugged again and absently picked his nose. The dragon already knows how I am. The bell rang, and Professor P, with a disgusted look on her face, motioned for Elliot to leave the class. Damien, Stevie Ray, and I had just stood up and were walking out the door when Elliot slouched by us, moving more quickly than I had, possibly for someone so soft-like. He bumped into Damien, who was ahead of us. Damien made an oops sound and stumbled a little. Fucking faggot. Get out of my way, the loser kid snarled, pushing Elliot with his door so he could get through the door before him. I should smack the crap out of that jerk, Stevie Ray said, hurrying over to Damien, who was waiting for us. He shook his head. Don't worry about it. That Elliot kid has major problems. Yeah, like having a poopy for brains, I said, staring down the hall at the slug's back. His hair was certainly unattractive. Poopy for brains? Damien laughed and leaned one arm through mine and one through Stevie Ray's, leading us down the hall, Wizard of Oz fashion. That's what I like about our Zoe, he said. She has such a way with vulgar words. Poopsie's not vulgar, I said defensively. I think that's the point, honey. Stevie Ray laughed. Oh, I'll laugh too. I laughed too, and I really liked how it sounded when he said our Zoe, like I belong, like I might be home. That will be it for today. We will start on chapter 14 tomorrow.